Hey there YouTube, welcome to another series of Bolt Action Army updates. I am well into my next army, a little slow on starting the videos. Again, I've been on and off ill, so I've had a lot of trouble painting, especially the last 3 weeks to a month. Basically my army will be British this time. Funnily enough, an army that when I started Bolt Action, I really had no interest in whatsoever. Sometime during the end of my Marine army and the start of my Italian army, my sort of interest in perhaps collecting a British army at some point kind of peaked. Again, I happen to have some really good reference books, yeah, I decided to, I worked out the costs and I managed to work out a pretty cheap army overall. It's, like I say, it's going to be roughly around 1,500 points and consist of 2 platoons again. So let's start with, like I said, I'm not quite halfway through it. I've basically done one whole British infantry box. And a couple of vehicles, and I've basically got like another vehicle, another infantry box, a Vickers, and some command models to do to actually complete the army overall. So, like I say, I'm roughly around halfway through it, and let's bring in the first platoon, or the first infantry section. I've actually designed my infantry squads around the late war sort of infantry section standard of 10-man squads, consisting of a NCO and a 6-man rifle unit and a 3-man Bren section, led by a Lance Corporal. So let's start with the NCO. Of course, one of the big things that kind of griped me when I was thinking about starting the British Army is that the British happen to be of the sort of 2010 original sort of plastic models from Warlord. And of course that means having to use the reference sheet to cut the correct arms out, and all those annoying things coming back to haunt me again, which I'm not a big fan of, basically. But, fair dues. These guys turned out really well. I was kind of happy with the positions that they turned out in. I think somehow I think they're a little easier to put together than the Germans. But again, you can't really tell the truth. So let's start with the NCO here. Try and get him focused. Here we go. This is, like I say, a plastic NCO with a typical pointy arm, and we have one of the nicely included transfers, which actually come within the infantry box set, to denote his corporal rank. And again, I kind of came up with the colour scheme to paint these guys myself. I watched... just dropped the guy. I watched 3 or 4 videos on various people painting British infantry, and I didn't like the sort of quick paint videos, and he's got some odd bits of grass in him. Now I need to get a paintbrush to lift this statically stuck on. So yeah, like I say, this is your typical posed NCO. Pointing arm, armed with a Sten, as NCOs were at this sort of time. Sort of Thompsons had more or less been phased out because Stens were a lot cheaper to produce. Although that's not to say that there were the odd officer floating around with a Thompson. And you can see that this guy's got a lot of static grass stuck to him. I need to get a paintbrush and get that off. But you can see that he came out really well. The sort of painting technique that I came up for these guys, I'm very happy with. You can see he's got the sort of camouflaged burlap helmet with little bits of burlap in, of sort of like a green, grey, and sort of khaki, buff, middle stony type colour. The sort of standard squarey backpack, and the entrenching tool on the back there, and I believe that's a gas mask pouch with his bayonet on there for his stem. And of course he's got his pouches. This actual particular moulded figure comes without ammo pouches moulded, so I had to add them from the spares that you get. And you can see that because of his arm position, I only really managed to fit one in, but again, because of his arm position, it kind of hides the fact that the other one would be there. So in the end, I was quite happy with this position. Very generic, but he looks like an NCO. And of course, there's the shoulder insignias, again, kindly supplied in transfer form. I believe they're the Northumbrian infantry, which I did decide. I basically decided to make these guys. Simply because I don't really feel like painting random insignia on myself. So let's start off with some infantry now. Like I said, this is the first time I've really done these British guys, so their poses are kind of probably pretty standard to what most people do. So here we have a guy with a sort of just a basic helmet on. Rank of private, so nothing on the sleeves, and nothing on his helmet. And this guy has his mug for his tea and his bedroll or his blanket on top of his backpack. Okay, the next one. This one's a little bit more dynamically posed. We have the classic grenade thrower. I mixed and matched the hands to I wanted him kind of holding his rifle as he prepared to throw the grenade, and you can see that I gave him a extra bandolier of ammo. Quite a nice pose, this one. And again, he's got the camouflaged style of helmet. And of course, the bedroll again. Okay, next up, another pretty basic posed infantryman. And another. You can see this guy is carrying one of the issued shovels. I've actually put a little less than the actual number of shovels that were assigned to the unit. Almost all of these 6 guys in this part of the infantry section would have these spades issued to them. But I think I only gave them to a couple just because they're kind of awkward to put on. They'd normally stick them behind their backpack or through the top of the through the sort of top of the backpack to actually carry them, and there's no real easy way of doing that on a plastic miniature. So again, this guy having the sort of burlap camouflaged helmet. I tried to use as many of those as possible, but also mixing in some sort of some other variants as well. Okay, 2 more guys left of the basic 6 infantrymen. So here we have a guy with just the basic camo netting on his helmet. And again the shoulder insignia. And the last guy, the only guy that I decided to use with a bayoneted rifle. Let's get some focus on him. Yeah, this guy's definitely chose the right head for this this pose. Definitely show me your war cry face. Like I was saying when I sort of started this video, I found the way the arms melded up to the rifle a lot easier than the Germans. The sort of slightly thinner Kar 98 tended to sort of twist more in the hand as you tried to glue it in, and sometimes you had sort of trouble of having a crooked rifle. But with this sort of the end being slightly thicker at the sort of the butt, it kind of sat in the hand a little better and allowed it to stick there while you position the other hand. The other thing that I did slightly different this time around was that I actually glued these together first and painted them, rather than painting the bodies and the arms separate and putting the arms on when the figure's almost finished, which of course is fiddly in its own right. Yes, I did come across a few problems where trying to get into tight spots, etc., but I think overall this method worked really well, and I'll probably continue to do this method from now on. So here we have a guy grimacing, and this guy is actually the NCO of the Bren section, and you can see that I've given him the extra 2 ammo pouches that the Bren team tended to wear, to allow them to carry some extra magazines for the Bren gun. So like I say, it's the Lance Corporal in command of the Bren section, and that'll be the Bren section leader, the Bren gunner, who is made this guy sort of a standing position Bren gunner. The Bren gun, of course, a very nice weapon. Maybe a little flawed by having a 30-round magazine, but a very good weapon all the same. And you can see that he's got a normal netted helmet. And I didn't actually give this guy the extra ammo pouches. I could have thought about it, but the arm position kind of hindered it going into position correctly, and especially this bent arm here would really it would basically stop the arm from going on properly. So in the end I decided to omit those for the sake of the model looking good, rather than having to do some conversion work to try and to build the shoulder out a little bit so that it could actually hold the gun properly. But you can see that the actual Bren gun went nicely into his hand there, and this arm fits perfectly in the right position to support it. So yeah, nice, very nice LMG gunner there. And finally we have the Bren number 2, and he is carrying the Bren accessory pack like I showed at the start, and he's also carrying the issued pickaxe. The other tool that was issued, which would be carried by the leader of the Bren section, would be a machete type blade. So yeah, this guy came out kind of cool. Again, I gave him one extra pouch because of his position. The second pouch couldn't really properly fit it in there without looking a bit gooky. So that is the first platoon of, or first section of British infantry. The next thing I will show you to bring this video to an end is this first vehicle, and it's a Bren carrier. So let's take a little closer look. So this is a Warlord plastic kit Bren carrier, and I really like it. I think it's a brilliant little vehicle. It's nice and petite, kind of like the Jeep, and that kind of grows on me. I love the fact that it came with the extra guys, and all but these mud flap things, it went together flawlessly. These things were a pain in the rear end, and I had to do some cutting and remoulding, and they were a pain, and I never want to do them again. And these little things here, I lost one, so I've only got one on one side. How it managed to disappear off my side, I really don't know, but you can see that it doesn't really make too much difference. It could have just be a little bit of battle damage there. This even looks like it's been shot off there. So you can see that I've also put some markings on for the correct unit, and it's got its identification number and its star, and then on the back, correct identification markings again. And it's kind of it's quite muddied up. I was very happy with how it came out, and apart from being a little annoying to try and having to paint the figures separately and basically not be able to complete the vehicle until they were done, it kind of painted up really well. I decided not to airbrush it in the end because of the crew, but I was very happy with how it turned out, and it's probably going to be used for recon, to be zipping around, laying down some support fire with its two Brens, but also it could possibly be used as a transport to transport around the Vickers team, which is it could be quite useful for. So that is the Bren carrier, and that brings us to the end of the first British infantry or British Army update. There's the items that we had in today's video, and stand by for the second video because I'm literally going to film it straight after this with another squad, another vehicle, and the odd 5 miniatures left over to complete the first box set. Until then, I'll catch you later.